Becoming a successful thief requires more than just the basic skill set. It demands a cold-blooded nature, sharp intellect, and physical strength. However, some thieves transcend these individual qualities, forming formidable gangs dedicated solely to orchestrating grand-scale thefts. These notorious gangs have not only executed spectacular heists, but also left the world in awe with their cunning and audacity. In our upcoming video, we delve into the stories of the 10 most successful robbery gangs, unveiling the extraordinary lengths they've gone to achieve infamy in the world of crime. Number 10. The Newton Boys. The Newton Boys, a group of 4 brothers from Texas, operated in the 1920s, a time when America was rife with gangsters and outlaws. Unlike other notorious gangs of their time, the Newton Boys preferred a non-violent approach to their crimes. They specialized in robbing banks and trains, using nitroglycerin to blow safes instead of resorting to violence. Their most significant heist was the 1924 train robbery in Rondout, Illinois, where they astonishingly netted $3 million, which was a massive amount at the time. This heist still stands as one of the largest train robberies in U.S. history. Their methodical planning, use of technology for the era, and non-violent methods made them unique among the criminal gangs of the Prohibition era. Number 9. The John Dillinger Gang. John Dillinger, the leader of this eponymous gang, was a Depression-era Robin Hood figure to many. Operating in the early 1930s, the gang was renowned for robbing banks across the Midwest. Dillinger was a master of disguise and escape, evading police capture multiple times. The gang's modus operandi included the strategic use of hostages as human shields and quick, well-planned getaways. Their exploits included robbing approximately 24 banks and even raiding police stations for arms and bulletproof vests. The gang's boldness, Dillinger's charm, and their defiance of the banking system during economic hardship made them a part of American folklore. Number 8. The Symbionese Liberation Army. The Symbionese Liberation Army, SLA, was a radical left-wing group that came into the spotlight in the 1970s. Their most notorious act was the kidnapping of Patty Hearst, a newspaper heiress. Hearst's case was particularly sensational because she was brainwashed, a phenomenon known as Stockholm Syndrome, and participated in the SLA's criminal activities, including bank robberies. The SLA's approach to crime was a blend of political ideology and outright criminal activity, setting a new precedent in the history of American criminal gangs. Their acts, especially Hearst's transformation from a victim to an active member, were a shocking development in the narrative of criminal activities linked to political ideologies. Number 7. The Barrow Gang. The Barrow Gang, led by Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow, was one of the most infamous criminal couples in history. During the early 1930s, they traveled across the United States, particularly the Central region, robbing banks and small businesses. Their criminal career also involved brutal confrontations with law enforcement, leading to several police officers' deaths. Despite their violent actions, the couple was romanticized by the media, becoming symbols of rebellion during the Great Depression. Their story ended in a dramatic police ambush in 1934 in Louisiana, which resulted in their deaths and transformed them into legendary figures in American crime history. Number 6. The Dalton Gang. The Dalton Gang, originally lawmen in the American Old West, turned to a life of crime and became known for their daring bank and train robberies in the early 1890s. Their most audacious attempt was to rob two banks at the same time in Coffeyville, Kansas, which ended in a dramatic and fatal shootout. This failed heist is particularly famous because the townspeople recognized them and fought back, leading to the death of several gang members. The Dalton Gang's shift from law enforcement to high-profile outlaws and their dramatic end have cemented them as icons of the Old West's outlaw era. Number 5. The Barker Karpis Gang. The Barker Karpis Gang, active in the 1930s, was led by Alvin Karpis and the Barker brothers. They became infamous for a series of high-profile kidnappings and bank robberies. This gang was marked as America's first public enemy number 1. They were known for their meticulous planning, which included detailed surveillance and careful selection of targets. Their most notorious crimes were the kidnappings of business tycoons William Ham and Edward Bremer, for which they received large ransoms. The gang's operations, spanning several states, involved numerous shootouts with law enforcement and made them one of the most feared criminal organizations of the Great Depression era. Number 4. Butch Cassidys' Wild Bunch. Butch Cassidys' Wild Bunch, also known as the Hole-in-the-Wall Gang, operated in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. They were notorious for their train and bank robberies across several states. Their most famous heist was the 1900 Great Northern Train robbery, where they made off with a large sum of money. The gang was unique for its strict code against killing, which was rare among criminal groups of that time. Their escapades, including the famed use of the hole-in-the-wall hideout in Wyoming, became the stuff of legend, further popularized by the film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Their sophisticated operations and avoidance of needless violence distinguished them in the annals of American outlaw history. Number 3. James Younger Gang. The James Younger Gang, led by Jesse James and his brother Frank, was a prominent post-Civil War gang known for their audacious bank and train robberies. Their operations, mostly in the Confederate States, were seen by many as acts of defiance against the Union. The gang skillfully evaded capture for years, thanks in part to the support from sympathetic locals. They were also known for their Robin Hood-like image, as they often stole from banks and trains associated with the Union. Their legend was enhanced by their daring robberies and their ability to elude law enforcement, making them iconic figures in American Wild West lore. Number 2. The Great Train Robbers. The Great Train Robbery of 1963 in England was masterminded by a gang led by Bruce Reynolds. They intercepted and robbed a Royal Mail train, stealing £2.6 million, a fortune at that time. The heist required meticulous planning, including tampering with railway signals to stop the train. The aftermath of the robbery was just as dramatic as the heist itself, involving a massive manhunt, trials, and several gang members escaping and later being recaptured. This heist became one of the most famous in British history and has since been the subject of numerous films and books. Number 1. The Pink Panthers. The Pink Panthers, a network of thieves from the Balkans, have been active since the 1990s and are renowned for their sophisticated and high-profile jewelry heists across the world. They have successfully stolen over $500 million in luxury goods from boutiques in cities like Paris, Dubai, and Tokyo. Their heists are characterized by meticulous planning, swift execution, and often dramatic escape methods, including the use of speedboats and luxury cars. They are also known for their audacity, such as stealing diamonds from a jewelry exhibition in Cannes in broad daylight. The Pink Panthers' international reach, adaptability, and success rate make them the most successful and elusive robbery gang in recent history. These were the 10 gangs of thieves whose crimes have made history in the dark world. What do you think about these gangs? Write to us in the comments.